What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be bringing you a very quick review for Christy, which is a new sports biopic that follows the story of American boxer Christy Martin, who is played here by Sweeney. It is the second MMA-based biopic that has come out in the last couple months, the other one being The Rock's movie, The Smashing Machine. I didn't exactly care for that much either, but I gotta say I think that was the better one. I went into this movie almost completely blind. I knew nothing about the cast other than the fact that Sweeney stars as Christy, and I knew very little about Christy herself as well, so this was very much a blind watch. The first half of this movie is basically the most derivative, dull, and drab retelling of every other sports drama that you've ever seen. And then the second half is surprisingly less about boxing and more about Christy's personal life, lots of struggles that she faced in her rise to fame, defamation, even threats on her life, lots of craziness that I had no idea was a part of her real life story. And it does take some wild turns, but you can't really credit the movie for that because it's following her real life. And unfortunately, somebody having a really fascinating true life story doesn't automatically translate to a good adaptation. Now, for the record, I'm not questioning whether or not these conversations happened this way in real life, whether these incidents happened in real life. In fact, if you look up Christy's own testimony in real life, which I did after watching the film, a lot of it is pretty accurate, but the way it's presented is totally melodramatic. One thing that I want to clarify, because I know that a lot of people do not like Sweeney and have this ridiculous hate campaign against her for very stupid reasons. I don't think she's the problem here at all. You're going to see a lot of people saying this movie sucks solely because it stars Sweeney and people don't like her. I actually think she's pretty good here. Now, is she a contender for an Academy Award? No, I don't think so. I think she's good. It takes her some time to grow into Christy's shoes, but by the end, I did buy her as the character. She is not the problem here. The problem is, as it often is, the script. The dialogue is hokey. It is very, very derivative of just about every other sports biopic that you've seen, or any underdog story where everyone doubts the main character initially, and then they show some promise all of a sudden. Everybody's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should give this person a chance, and I'm going to introduce you to this person, which is going to bring you into a whole new world, and then you're going to keep climbing the ladder. It's something that you've seen 1,000 times before, and it was not executed well at all here. The boxing sequences are boring, visually bland. There's just not a single original bone in this movie's body, and I wanted it to show some more energy or enthusiasm. I find it absolutely comical how this movie is supposed to span 20 years of Christy Martin's life, and yet Sweeney still looks practically the same age throughout the entire plot. Or at the very least, she does not look 40 years old by the end of the film, which is how old Christy is supposed to be during those events. By far the most interesting part of the movie is the final 30 minutes, which takes some crazy turns that, again, if you don't know the true story, you will be shocked by. But that makes me sit back and think, if I had known the real story beforehand, would I even be that engaged in any of this? And unfortunately, I think the answer is no. It's also 2 hours and 15 minutes, way too long for what this is trying to be, and it bored me. Unfortunately, it bored me. Once again, I think Sweeney is good. She's fine. Ben Foster, we know he can play a dickhead really well, and he proves that once again here. But otherwise, this is a movie that I'm going to forget about in a couple of days. I'm going to give Christy 2 stars. So those are my quick thoughts. Be sure to let me know what you think of the film if you do happen to catch it when it releases on November 7th. As always, stay tuned for more videos. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want more content like this. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.